people got. Look at those bubbles. Oh, okay, no noise. After reading your beer suggestions, this one was very popular amongst the people. Also, this was the first one I could find in my local grocery store, so let's give it a go. She's light, like Yingling or Miller Lite, but she's more tangy and has more flavor, which I am here for. Yes, my goal is to try all the beers that y'all suggested, even if I have to specially order them online. I'm gonna try them at some point. My next question to y'all is, what's your favorite wine and favorite horror movie? Personally, I like sweet wines. Anything that tastes like candy has my heart. Dry wines, not really a fan of, but I'll give it a taste. So favorite wine and horror movie. Wine and horror movie. Comment that down below, and if you have your own spooky, scary stories that you would like to share with me, even if they're not your own, or you want me to read something, send it my way. Just let me know the details in the email to this email, which is also available in the description down below. And if you're enjoying the content and you want to show your girl some love, here is my tip jar information. Treat a girl to some coffee. We love good coffee around here. Okay, that was like a British New York accent. And don't forget to like tonight's spooky, scary Reddit threads is a topic that I really enjoy. It's one of my favorites, and it's urban legends. Urban legends. Urban legends. What's the creepiest urban legend you've ever heard? Of course, before we get started, I had to balance out the beer with a bong. The first story says, I'm not sure if that counts, but back in elementary school, we had a rumor that spread like wildfire, that the janitor died in the basement and her body was rotting. Police came around to check if that was true, but still, the story circulated for years, even when I left the school. Surely the police wouldn't have come if it weren't true. Right. I believe people refer to them as stick Indians. Out in the deserty areas of the USA, there are roads that go insanely long distances with absolutely nothing nearby. No gas stations, no homes, just barren-ass lands. Longest one I've been on was 76 miles between a couple of towns in Oklahoma. There was a legit sign that indicated no gas or rest stops next 76 miles, many of them much longer. The legend is that people traveling these roads, especially at night, will see people on the side of the road, 100 or more miles from anything. They look normal, wear normal clothes, except good night. No, that's almost as tall as a Teletubby, bro. 9 feet. Motherfucking tall. When you get close to them, I would crash my car into a cactus. Now, a lot of truckers have reported seeing them in old threads on here. I think it's an uncanny valley thing. Totally normal environment with one normally insignificant detail very out of place. She took me once and I agree, it feels very ominous, but by then she'd mostly been converted to high-end housing. Still an interesting story though. It sounds like Hills Have Eyes meets Michigan. Also random, but if you're wondering why I asked you guys to comment your favorite horror movie, it's because I've been watching horror movies a night. It's like a tradition I have. In October, I have to watch one creepy thing a night. Even if it's not actually creepy, like Paranorman I watched the other night. So I would love your suggestions and to watch them. Anywho, back to your regularly scheduled program after this sip and rip. In my country, there was a half-human, half-snake that lurks in the basement and appears in the dressing rooms of a certain department store. There were 2 celebrities who allegedly saw this thing and was said to be paid big bucks by the mall owner in order to keep it a shh secret. Despite this, it still became big news when the celebrity revealed their experience after some time. The country, if you're wondering, is the Philippines. The Philippines. Somebody else commented on this one and said that I heard that the story originally came out on the tabloids after a survivor managed to escape and tried to report, but because of how insane she sounded and she looked disheveled, she was dismissed. Not sure if this is an urban legend, but it's scary as hell, at least to me. My grandmother used to tell it to all the kids in the neighborhood. My very Greek grandmother was incredibly superstitious. She always told me, whatever you do, never speak aloud in the dark. One time I asked why, and she says, because someone might just answer you. No. Someone else commented and said, I'm from Ireland. My mother is quite superstitious. One day my mom asked if there was someone at the door. I knew there wasn't. I opened the front door. Nobody was there like I knew there would be. But I jokingly said, it's yourself, come on in. And she was angry with me. Basically, don't say that to the empty darkness you don't know who or what you will invite in. The next story says, girl goes to a club with another female friend. They party through the night and she actually connects with a guy and ends up kissing him, making out. They exchange contacts, but he wants her to go to his place. He gets quite desperate and tries to convince her. Her female friend gets wind of it, even though he seems alright, she urges. They'll part ways for the time being since it's too late and they're all drunk. They leave the club and go to their own place. The next morning, the girl doesn't feel quite well. While looking in the mirror, she also notices what looks like some form of rash or herpes around her mouth. She doesn't think much of it, but goes to the doctor anyways. The doctor isn't sure what it is exactly and suspects bacteria or a viral infection. He takes a tiny sample from her skin and sends it to the lab. About a week later, the doctor calls and wants the girl to come visit ASAP. He tells her the results are very, very, very suspicious. Something only really being seen when coming in contact with corpses. They're both shocked. The girl tells the doctor about the guy she made out with at the club. After some additional research she did at home, she discovers the guy very recently got arrested on suspicion of killing a girl a couple weeks ago. They found a dead girl's body at his home under his bed, lying there decomposing. Are you okay? Because I'm not okay. was a tiny chihuahua, struggling for its life, breathing heavily, shivering, barely able to move. Heartbroken, she smuggled her new pet across the border, then struggled to help it regain its strength. She sounds like me for real. The puppy refused to eat any food she offered, and she talked to it, cuddled it, and finally wrapped it in a small blanket and placed it beneath the covers on her bed to sleep beside her all through the night. She kept feeling it to make sure it was okay. In the morning, the tiny pet still seemed sickly. She cuddled it and kissed it all morning, but noticed weeping from its eyes, so she brought it to a nearby animal clinic. Handing the weakened animal to the vet on duty, she began to describe all the things she had done to help the tiny creature. The vet immediately asked the woman where they acquired the pet. Learning about her trip, he informed the woman that she adopted not a chihuahua, but a rabid Mexican river rat. This bitch has been kissing all over that bitch. Oh my god. I did not have to do that to see how much is left. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is my second. I thought my eyes crossed for a second, but this is my second beer. Black-eyed children ringing your doorbell and asking for something to drink while looking at you with their stupid little beady eyes. That's not what it says, but that's what I say. And suddenly vanishing. Plus the stories with serial killers who felt welcome in houses because the door wasn't locked still gives me chills. The serial killer thing, someone commented, isn't an urban legend, but based on Richard Chase. He decided unlocked doors were an invitation to come in and drink their blood and eat them. One of my favorite horror movies, to answer my own question, is The Strangers, because I think that is the scariest home invasion movie on the planet. The way they utilize silence and sound just makes my heart beat really fast. But similarly to what people are talking about in this thread, in that movie, spoiler, when they're like, why are you doing this? She's like, because you were home. And I'm just like, bitch. All I'm saying is if somebody comes knocking at my door after it's dark outside and I'm not expecting anybody, I'm not answering the door. And if I do, I'm gonna have a weapon in my hand ready to go because we aren't fucking around today. My mom used to tell me that if I didn't brush my teeth, them roaches would sniff out the sugar in my breath and crawl into my mouth to try to find food. And that she knew this because it happened to my sister as a child. What the No. But now I'm about to brush them like excessively. We have a local urban legend that I heard of recently. A creek that runs through the side of the county was once hanging ground for disobedient slaves. The bodies were then cut down and let go into the creek. Children of said slaves were left in the woods to die or were drowned. It's said now that if you go down there, you hear the screams of the dead or a baby crying for its mother. Hunters, white men particularly, are scared to go down in that trek of the woods because of said spirits. My coworkers told me that he was near that area once with his dogs chasing a rabbit, and suddenly a dense fog rolled in. He started hearing screaming and noped the fuck out of there as his dogs all turned tail and ran back to his truck. person commented, "We have a local legend where if you drive in a certain area, a guy will throw an animal at your car. When you get out to inspect it, he will abduct you." Never been so terrified driving at that road at like 2 a.m. In fact, now that I think about it, that's enough. I'm gonna go watch a comedy because I don't want to think about it anymore. Speaking of comedies, I recently started watching Keanu, which is Key and Peele's comedy about a cat. I'm not done with it, so no spoilers, but it's the cutest movie. And I have my very own Keanu, Miso, in my town. There's a story about a guy. Everyone who tells it swears that it happened to a friend or cousin or whatever, who was driving in a rural part of town in the middle of the night and saw a very beautiful girl hitchhiking. He picks her up in his car and starts driving towards the center of town. While there and driving, he tries to start a conversation to get to know her. She never responds. Shh, the center of town. He looks at him and says, "I would have taken you with me if only you didn't have that in the dash cabinet," and leaves. He opens the dash cabinet and finds a cross. His mom is left there to protect him. What kind of twisted demon calls the glove box a dash cabinet? One person comments, "Probably all the stuff about doppelgangers I've seen on Reddit. It sounds so possible, but deeply unsettling at the same time." Another person commented saying, "My wife swears to this day she saw my doppelganger one morning. I had already left to work, so she hears the front door close and my truck leave. 5 minutes later, she sees me walk into the bathroom and close the door. She waits 5, 10, 15 minutes. She knocks on the door. 'Are you going to work, babe?' No answer. Now she's really getting creeped out and thought maybe I was sick or something. She turns the knob and opens the door. No one's there. Maybe the multiverse opened up and closed at that second." Another person commented on this one and said, "My mother insisted she would see me around the house at least once every couple months at times where I was not home. I'd get the usual, 'Are you home right now?' text, and know why she was asking before I even replied. Spooky, yes, but I also suspect that my mother has some undiagnosed psychosis." So, Daily Bone was a story that had me messed up as a kid. A old solitary man who lives alone and hunts for food was hungry. He cuts off a strange creature's tail and makes stew with it. The man eats the stew. The creature wants his tail back, so he gets it back by scratching into the man's stomach to retrieve it. It's a longer story, but obviously you get the gist. There's a Mexican version of this my mom used to tell us. Someone commented, "A boy named Pepito. Well, Pepito's mom sends him to the store to buy something for dinner. Pepito, instead of buying the food, decides to buy junk food and play video games. Before he knows it, he has spent all of his money. So Pepito breaks into the morgue and steals a dead man's intestines and takes them home in a paper sack. His family cook and eat them. Of course, Pepito is not hungry. Later that evening in bed, Pepito hears, "¿Dónde están mis tripas? Where are my intestines?" In the morning, they find Pepito with his intestines torn out. And on that note, I'm going to end the video there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. asking it 2 questions. And don't forget to send your spooky, scary, unsettling stories here so we can have our own Reddit thread. Send them to this email right here, which is also available down below. It does not have to be your own story. Just let a girl know. And if you are enjoying the content and you want to tip your favorite waitress and treat me to a piece of avocado toast from Dunkin' Donuts and a coffee, this is my tip